Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here. Today I'm going to show you how to use cardstock strips and embossing folders to create a simple, colorful card project. I'm working with Encore textured cardstock from the 12x12 cardstock shop. It's a beautiful linen textured cardstock with a solid white core, perfect for die cutting, embossing, and cutting with a cutting machine. I'm going to be working with a detailed embossing folder. Go ahead and dig through your stash and pull out one of your favorites that will fit a standard A2 size card. As you can see, I have already cut my paper strips. These are cut at 3/4 of an inch. I also have some white cardstock cut at 1/4 of an inch. I've chosen a fun summer color palette. Here I have pink grapefruit, parfait, banana pudding, golden amber, and sea mist. All right, let me show you how easy it is to put this card together. I've gone ahead and trimmed down my paper strips. You will be able to get 2 cards from each 12x12 strip. I've chosen this for my color order. Now, we could lay these paper strips loosely in an embossing folder, but I'm going to show you an easier way. I'm going to lay these strips on some double-sided tape. There are multiple sizes of double-sided tape available. If you don't have double-sided tape, you could adhere these paper strips to some very thin printer paper. A thin paper would also be best if you plan to add some stitching. Once you've created your panel, you're going to trim it to size. I'm going to use a 4 by 5¼ inch die. I'm going to cut this ahead of time because if I tried to die cut it after it was embossed, it would flatten the embossed design. If you're cutting by hand, it's also best to do this before embossing because you could catch the raised design on your cutting knife or paper cutter blade. Now we're going to place our card panel into an embossing folder and spritz it with a little water, then we'll run it through the machine. I'm going to carefully lift this out of the embossing folder. Sometimes the cardstock will warp slightly because of the water we added. I just flip it upside down and place a cutting plate over the top. All right, now that it's had some time to dry, let's take a look at all of the gorgeous details of the embossing. Encore cardstock embosses beautifully. All right, I'm going to adhere this onto a black card base. I love how black makes those bright colors pop. I'm using a very delicate sentiment that says sweet. I'm just going to dip this in some glue. You can also use a sponge dauber or a really fine tip glue. I'm going to place this across the bottom of the card. And then I'm going to finish with a tiny black die cut heart over here on the right. And lay a white twine bow over the top for some charming detail. And that's it. A quick, simple way to add texture and color with embossing folders and cardstock strips. Feel free to switch up the sizes of the stripes or the colors. You can also decide whether or not you want to include those white cardstock spacers. There's a lot of variations that you can create with this design. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope that this project inspired you to try something new. Have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.